Good morning, YouTube viewers. Good morning, Facebook Nation. Good morning to all people, all colors, all races, all languages around the world. Good morning to everyone. And for whatever goals that you have set forth for yourself on this day, as long as it benefits all of humanity for the positive, and may those goals come to fruition. Um, Today is a beautiful morning. Hopefully everybody will get out and get some of this air, regardless of the fact that this weather is abnormal. You know, this is what this channel is about. Make the best out of life and to enjoy every moment that we have. But while we enjoy every moment that we have to also, be the best that we can be to others and try to uplift all of humanity because of the present situation that we're in. So today's topic is pure light, people from all walks of life. And what I want to discuss today is, when I talk about pure light and people coming from all walks of life, it's not in a religious sense. It's not in a one-dimensional sense. It's people literally, all races, coming from all walks of life. And these people, they bear truth. Some of them even lay down their lives for people that they don't even know. So I'm going to discuss one woman who actually laid her life down so that we could be informed, as far as what was going on as far as in China and with the pandemic. But I'm also going to go to a Hispanic woman who, she had did something that's similar. So these are people, and I'm also going to do a white male. So it shows that people can come from all walks of life, and part of pure light is doing when confronted with a choice in life. Sometimes those choices can take your life, and sometimes those choices can destroy everything that you have as that you've worked hard for. And then sometimes you can stand up and then you can get complete resentment from it. But yet and still, in the face of all those things, the people that I'm getting ready to talk about, they made a choice, and the choice was to do the right thing. So, and hopefully this will encourage everyone to do the same, because we live in a world that is so toxic, and we live in a world that a lot of bad things happen, and they're done by people with smiles on their faces. And it's all in regards to the new term, fake news. It's so easy to say fake news. It's so easy to cancel someone. It's so easy to destroy someone. But it's the destruction that we do to ourselves, and how we can do this to one another, without any feelings. So today I want to start out, and the woman's name, and she's up on the screen. If you got a chance, go and look this woman up. And her name is Zhang Zhan. And back in 2019, when COVID had first came out, she was one of the reporters that, she was reporting this stuff, and even though the country told her, told all the reporters, look at what they did to the doctor who blew the whistle. He died of COVID. Coincidence? I don't think so. But, all those reporters, you have to think that in China, they have the biggest population. I believe they got over 1 billion people in China. So how many reporters are there? And this is a woman along with a few other men, and I can count them on one hand. That they stood up for what was truth, and they brought truth to us without even knowing us, because she directly got arrested because she sent her video straight to YouTube, which was meant for all of us. So she could have stayed, this is my country, I'm gonna keep things quiet, I'm not gonna tell the world what's going on. But pure light was within this woman, and she did what she had to do, and that was to tell the truth. So back in 2019, they arrested her and they charged her with picking quarrels. Now think about these things here in our country. And then another charge, so one was picking quarrels, the second one was starting trouble. She received 4 years for this. All right, so back in 2020, the picture that you see is an older picture. I believe that picture was taken before she was arrested, but 2019, 2020, she automatically began a hunger strike. And her family right now is trying to raise awareness, to the world that, their daughter is dying, so she's literally going to die in jail for telling the truth. And, we don't, lift these people up. We don't give these people, the attention that they deserve. So this channel will, and this channel will speak out for her and others that are like her, people of pure light, who are on this earth trying to do the right thing and willing to give it up. And in her case, it may very well be her life. So, my sympathies to the family, and my sympathies to Ms. Zhan as well. Now I want to get on to the second woman, and she's Hispanic. Her name is Mayra, I hope I pronounced that right, Mayra Rodriguez. And back in 2019, this woman worked at she had a position, a good position, high position in Planned Parenthood. Now, it's not to say whether Planned Parenthood is good or if it's bad. It's to say what this woman did, because she came to a point where she had to make a choice. And what this woman did was she went to her supervisor, she went to all the people that were, within that office in order to try to, make changes based on the fact that Planned Parenthood was using shoddy abortion patient care, and that's how she filed her complaint. Shoddy abortion patient care, which was by doing this, by all these, clinics doing this, they were putting the women at risk for death. So, she may have been doing one thing, but she really cared about, the people. She didn't want to see people dying, and maybe people were dying, but that's not the way that she went at her complaint. She just said shoddy abortion patient care. So this woman, when she went and she, started to talk to some of her higher ups, you know what her gift was? Oh yeah, thank you, Mayra. Thank you for telling us. We'll look into that. Yeah, and you get a pink slip on the way out the door because that's what they gave her. They literally turned this woman's life upside down. She thought she was doing the right thing when she did do the right thing, and she was terminated, career gone. And when something like that happens, most companies say, "Hey, we're not going to hire you because of what you did. You spoke up." And that's a twisted world that we live in. So we have to be thankful for, people who are born with pure light, people who are going to do the right thing in the face of, these choices. And because a lot of people who work in these places, especially corporations, medical, and everything else, they cover for one another, knowing that they're lying. And so a lot of times where it's concerning people's death. And they don't mind lying to your family. They don't mind lying to your face. They don't mind closing doors so, you can't get answers. So it's these people from all walks of life, all colors, who have attained pure light. And thank you for that. So, long story short, as far as the plan of abortion, she filed a complaint, took them into court, and the jury awarded her $3 million. So on that, by speaking truth, sometimes you might have to take a loss. But in the end, if you keep going and you keep going and you keep going and you're unwilling to waver and you're unwilling to lie and you're unwilling to take back your story, the people in the end will reward you. So, we have to make these choices, and we can't always think about self. That's why the Most High has placed people on this earth from all walks of life to be in positions where they can make change, because that's the way change begins. Even though they terminated her, even though they gave her the lawsuit money, they still had to change their policies, and they were held to higher restrictions. So the last one, we went Chinese, we went Hispanic, now we're going to go white. So you say, well, white people can't have pure light. Yes, they can. Every human on the face of this earth, even you, can attain pure light. Even you can attain, truth, where, it all boils down to a choice, So I want to go to the February 2020 shooting of Ahmaud Arbery. I wanted to try to pronounce his name right, so I had to write it down. Ahmaud Arbery. So while everybody was watching the Rittenhour case, and I have a good friend out there, Blossom, so you know where this is coming from, because we had this discussion, as well as with you as well, AJ. While everybody was pinned to the TV and they were watching, in social media, watching the Rittenhour case, I had said to, my best friend, Blossom, and I was like, I said, you should be paying attention to, the Ahmaud Arbery case down in Georgia, because of the fact that, this was a cold-blooded murder. They literally chased this guy down to kill him over a distance. So there was no ifs, ands, or buts about this case. So this case has more evidence than the other case, but this is how everything works. Big corporations, media, they say divert their attention to this because they don't have enough evidence. We'll keep everybody locked into this while we try to squeeze this case where the evidence was overwhelming. That case right there was so overwhelming that the judge had made an Asian joke about Chinese food, Asian food, I should say, Asian food. And this is all fair use, educational purposes only. So it was really a heated case. And what made it heated was because they only allowed one black juror, and they wouldn't even allow him. It was something where they got pressured that they had to do it. So they were keen on, this is our little spot, and this is how it is. Regardless of what the rest of the country says, regardless of what the Constitution says, this is how we do things. This is the South. So, I have to thank those people, again, of Pure Light, who, pushed to make this happen. And not to say that the one person of color made a difference, because it didn't. Because remember, there are other people on that jury, and one vote doesn't sway the others. One person who says innocent usually doesn't sway the rest. So what I'm saying, they were found guilty. I believe they were overwhelmingly found guilty, but that's not the people up here like that I want to talk about. I want to talk about a specific person, and this man's name is Larry English Jr. Now, what makes Larry English Jr. so important to this case? And the reason is because remember that even the people that lived in Georgia said you don't go down there. That's a place you don't go. And for whatever reason that he had to go down there, he ended up down there, and he was tracked, and he was hunted down, and he was murdered. Now, the defendants, they predicated their case on the fact that, you know, he was going to break into a house and they saw him, he looked suspicious. Now, what most of you don't know, and you know, who spent the time to understand what was the key principle in that conviction. And the key principle in that conviction was Larry English Jr. He was the one who owned the property. So Larry had cameras set up around that property, as well as, you know, when they were chasing Ahmaud Arbery, they contacted him. And he was like, you know, he said that Ahmaud Arbery didn't fit the description of the people that were going in on that property. Also that he had notified the police and for them to stop, not to pursue him. Now, why is that key? Because you have to remember, this man lives in that community. That's all racist. Racist enough that they were, you know, even the neighbors were filming it, did nothing to stop it. So they were all in it together. You know, get this guy, take him out. You know what I'm saying? Take him out. And so this man owned that property. So he was a part of that community. You know how much retribution that this man is going to face, or probably has faced because of that? He probably ended up selling off that property, you know, and not going back into that community. And that's what I was talking about in one of my previous videos, that, you know, sometimes you may have to, you know, uproot, sometimes you may lose friends. But the thing is, it's that one person, someone probably came along the line to make him think differently about people of color. And he stood up and he said, you know, hey, you know, I know that, you know, this is my community. I'm not lying. I'm not going to lie. Because he wouldn't have faced jail time. All he had to do was say, yeah, I gave him permission. I told him to watch the property. He didn't pull the trigger. He wasn't off the property. He wouldn't have went to jail. That wouldn't have been accessory because he didn't authorize them to kill anyone. He could have just said that by them having permission to watch that area, to watch that property, would have swayed those scales. Those men would have probably been off and walking free. So this man, out of pure light, you know, his heart wouldn't let him lie. His heart just wouldn't let him do it. So, you know, to me, this is why I say we all have it in us. We all have it in us to do the right thing. We have to look at humanity as a whole to say that, you know, there are no mistakes upon this earth, because racism is a taught practice. It's not something that we're born with. Corruption, it's a learned behavior. It's not something that we're born with. Lying, it's a learned behavior. It's not something that we're born with. These are all choices. And when we look at life as choices, then we begin to see that we can work together. Because, again, working together is a choice. But until that time, there will continue to be people of pure light that walk this earth, that, you know, are put in positions to make change. And each one of those individuals that I just mentioned, they made change. And that's how we work together. And, you know, but we can do even more. Because when people like this do this, that's where the protest should be. That Zhang Zhang is, you know, in prison for, you know, just telling the truth. That's where a protest should start here. And then Mayra Rodriguez, that's where we should stand up. But we don't. We'll stand up for something, you know, that leads in death. But here are people, you know, speaking out to prevent this. So we got to know how backwards, you know, life can be. So I'm not going to hold everyone. I just wanted to put some light on these three incredible people, heroes in my eyes. Hopefully they're heroes to, you know, you, the viewer that is listening. And hopefully you'll be able to take something away from this video, that, you know, we have to start to work together, because, you know, there's too much money tearing us apart. So with that, everyone, have the most beautiful day. Have an awesome day. Be the best person that you can be. And for whatever goals that you have set forth for yourself on this day, may those goals come to fruition as long as they benefit all of humanity. And for men, women, children, all languages, all races, peace and